Hi everyone, it is Marie here from Skeins, and I thought I would come and catch up with you today and talk about a few exciting things. Sorry I didn't get to you on Monday. School holidays. I don't know if any of you are affected by school holidays. I certainly am. I have got two tween boys, 10 and 12. So yes, so definitely had to do a little bit of juggling with the other half to make sure that we could get some kitty cover for those two. And I'm going to actually cover a little bit about school holidays today. I don't know how many of you are stuck at home with kids who are bored to tears or want to get out or are wanting to do activities that just quite frankly cost a fortune. And I've been actually doing a little bit of Googling and coming across some really great ideas that will keep boys or girls occupied using some of those scrappy bits left in the yarn stash. So I'll talk about that a little later on. I've got loads of actually stuff to talk about today, lots of little bits and pieces here and there. But firstly, I'm going to talk about what is new and in. And I popped a post on, I think, both Speakeasy and the main page about McEwen and Mackay. We've seen that come out, the DK, which is that beautiful broody blue and red. The 12 ply is now in store, and there they are there. So those are the 12 plies, and they are in these fabulous, I call these thunderballs, by the way. Purely, I just love them. I love these, and you'll see yarns come out in this format, and I just love this format. This is a 200 gram ball, so it's not in a hank, it's in a 200 gram ball, and it's great for two reasons. One, you're not having to wind off a 200 gram hank. Win! But two, no pesky joints. So if you're going to be doing a project of a reasonable size, you know, you're not having to panic about too many joints. The other reason this is quite good too is that most, even the smallest sort of children's projects, sort of like toddler size up, takes 200 grams as a minimum. So one ball is definitely a project in a smaller size, but most projects in these will be 1 to 2 balls. So it just means that you're not having to have lots of joins, and you're able to get your project out without having to break into too much. The other nice thing too, actually, that I haven't mentioned before online, is this is spun to the same count as our Southlander, so which is going to be coming in. So do watch out that when our Southlander 12 ply comes in, that this McEwen and Mackay is going to be the same count. So you'll be able to do lots of really fun things with that. The really lovely thing about this is that it is only $14 a ball, which is a $3.50 ball equivalent. So it's really well priced. Again, great for large scale projects, particularly if you're going to be doing a blanket project, a big weaving project, anything. Also too, kids school holiday project, it's the sort of yarn that is great for that because you can dole it out and it's not going to cost you the absolute earth. So that is McEwen and Mackay, available now. I think I've placed these on the sale page to make them nice and easy to find. So as I said, $14 a ball for that 12 ply yarn, and it's actually lovely and squishy. It's got a really good handle. We've popped our super soft over there. It feels fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Holey Moley, which is our theme on the Speakeasy this month, and that has been awesome. It's so cool to see how everyone has interpreted it. Lots of people obviously have taken the literal holy interpretation, so there's lots of lace or lace embellished or lace highlighted pieces that are cropping up in there on the post, and so good to see those. And also to some real wow projects, some projects that people have been working on for a while who've got real impact, and it's been really good to see those. I deliberately wore this today because I know last time I wore the Burlesque Shawl, which is by Rhiannon McCulloch, aka Miss Vinegar on Revelry. Today I actually wore this, and with the yarn it's a little bit difficult to see. I'll just pull it up. There you go. Now this, if you may or may not recognise it, this is called Brickless, which is another Martina Bean, and everybody knows what a fan of hers I am. Now she's the Hitchhiker lady. A lot of people know Hitchhiker. And this one, this asymmetrical, I wouldn't call it a shawl, it's a scarf, asymmetrical scarf. This one came out not that long after Hitchhiker. And what I like about it, because Hitchhiker is one of those patterns, and if you don't know it, the Hitchhiker pattern is a asymmetrical like this, sort of with the sawtooth like what we've got here, but they're much closer together and more even, and it's all in garter stitch. And it is one of those patterns that if you've never knitted a triangular or an asymmetric project before, and you're a new knitter, it is fantastic because it's very, very simple, quite repetitive. It's easy to memorize where you need to be, and what it does do is if you've got hand-dyed, a couple of skeins of a hand-dyed yarn, or you've got stuff like this, which I'm going to talk about these a little later on, these style of yarns, and you're wanting a pattern that you get really lovely to make the effect of that, and garter stitch does really well with that sort of thing. It's a brilliant pattern to do. So it's been hugely popular, and it's one that people really enjoy doing because it's nice, mindless TV knitting. So this one here, she brought out a few years later, and I quite like it because it's done in sections. And let me get back down here to the beginning so it's easy to see. So she's got one section is this lace section here, which is just a really simple knit two together yarn over lace. We can all do that. So if you're wanting to, you've never knitted lace before in your life, and you're looking at these Holey Moley projects and you're going, holy moly, I can't do that, it's too hard. This is perfect because this is honestly the simplest lace you can knit. So that's that section there. Then we've got a garter stitch section there, and then we've just got a simple ribbing section, and the whole scarf is made up of these 3 bricks, which are all in different widths and lengths, and so there's a little bit of interest there to keep you out of mischief. If you're wondering what is that funky yarn, Marie, that you are poking up, it looks like nothing we have seen before, you would be right. It is actually homespun. So I have spun this from this is actually spun from fibre that we've had here. In fact, I think from memory it was Perrindale fibre. So of course a high micron fibre that we had. And Ian, our wonderful Ian Kelly, who is our doyen of all things mill, he was playing around with the new spray technique many moons ago. And this is some fibre that I have spun from that. So as you can see, what he was playing with was doing some sort of kind of graduations. I've never applied this or anything super exciting because I'm not a super duper hand spinner, not like our lovely Karen who works here, who's amazing. But it's, yeah, and what I like about this is it's nice and long, you can wrap it around, easy to wear. So if you're struggling for a Holey Moley project, you're wanting to get part of the fun, but you're looking at all of these lace projects and you're thinking, too hard, Brickless Martina Bean is a great one because, as I said, these nice little simple, that's the simple lace panel, yarn over knit two together. You can do that. So that's that. As for my personal Holey Moley project, which is, I think, going to turn into the next month project as well, the rate I'm going. I am actually going, though. I'm actually sort of ticking along, but there's no holes there yet. So I'm knitting Lizzie by Georgie Nicholson, or Ticky Knits, which again everyone knows it's. I've got my favourites. There's some very dull. I knit from the same designers again and again and again. It's because I know what works for me. So this is a top-down cardigan. So that's where I'm at. I'm about 2/3 of the way down the top portion there. So and then I'll start dividing off for sleeves soon. But the whole back portion of the cardigan, if you're wondering where is the Holey in this moly, Miss Marie, the whole back portion of this cardigan is going to be in that lace panel there, which I can't wait to get to, because that's, I think that looks fantastic, don't you? And in this yarn, so this yarn is a we had the Pamir from Filatura de Crosa, which some lucky people managed to get their hands on. That's what it is. It's a twist on twist construction, but you could do this in orb fine. Actually, you can even get away with it in orb DK, to be fair, but this one is spun to the same as orb fine. So if you wanted to do that, that's heaps of fun. And that's how my progress is going. I aim to have this finished for Knit August Nights, but yeah, watch this space. I'm not holding my breath on that one. So I have been also very good this morning and drawn out some prizes for Holey Moley, and I have put together some prize packs from the shawl that I had on last week, which was the Burlesque shawl, as I mentioned before, which is by there it is there. Ta-da! So the Burlesque shawl is by Rhiannon McCulloch, aka Miss Vinegar, formerly known as from Stitch Seekers fame. So I've got 3 packs made up with Albertine. The Burlesque shawl was actually designed by Rhiannon for us for the burlesque yarn that we had, which was the single woven silk, which is no longer available, but the Albertine will look amazing in that shawl. So I've put together 3 packs for that. And the winners of those, I will flick you a wee note shortly, are Debbie Dawson, Gail McEwen, and Janine Worthington. So well done, you 3. All of them, if you wondered how have they won, they're all members of the Skein Speakeasy. So if you haven't joined the Speakeasy yet, you must do this because it's so much fun. So they're members of the Skein Speakeasy, and they posted a post up with the Holey Moley thing for the month, and it can be a work in progress, it can be a finished item, it can be anything you want, and then we draw it at random and for one of those prize packs. Next week I will give away another Rhiannon pattern actually called the Gorse Shawl, which is absolutely beautiful, which she designed for Midwinter Wool Feast a couple of years ago, and I will again put some packs for that. So all you have to do is join up the Speakeasy and post. It's as simple as that. Really, 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 really easy to win that. So congratulations to those 3. As you can see, this week I have been quite busy on social media. Yesterday we decided at lunchtime, as we are apt to do, I was working from home, that we needed some space. I've got a whole swag of yarn which is coming in probably next week or the week after. It's all stuff that is timed to come in just prior to Mid-August Night, so we've got loads of yarn for all of those attending Mid-August Nights to be able to access, and all of you who aren't able to attend Mid-August Nights to feel like that you're getting part of the fun of what goes on here in August. So that, you want to see it? Honestly, I've just been cartons and cartons and cartons of it. So Claire had a wee moment yesterday and rang me and she said, "Oh, I've got no space." She said, "Please make me some space." So hence the flash sale on Merino Soft. Now, those who know when we do sales, it's very rare that Merino Soft is in a sale, and generally when it is in a sale, it's there as a discontinued colour or a colour that we're recycling out or a one-off. It's very, very rare that we have core range on sale. So I'm talking the core colours. We're talking baby pink, baby blue, white, lemon, baby mint. All of them, the entire range, on sale at the moment for $4.95 a ball. So if you have got any baby knitting that you need to do in the next cooey, you knit for charity, or you know someone who does knit for charity or skaboos, this is our premium 100% New Zealand made merino that we make here on site, $4.95 a ball, and it is gorgeous. So, and we're doing this to clear a bit of space because we hold good stocks of that. So the sale finishes at midnight tonight. I've just gone and added, so it does include that lovely funky colour there, which is Lavender Crush, and I've just gone and moved over into the sale because it's exactly the same yarn for all intents and purposes. It's this one here, which is the classic prints from Naturally, and that is the Crocus Crush, which is just a a more intense version of the Lavender Crush. That was on, usually this retails at $12.20 a ball. We've had it in our sale, the importer's clearance, for $5.95. It's now been dropped to $4.95, and I've put it on the Merino Soft page, so you can find that. I will put the link to the Merino Soft page in the comments, so don't panic. You can find that. So do make sure that you get some of those Merino Softs. I mean, this is baby knitting 101, so it is the sort of yarn that you may want to actually get a couple balls of each colour to have in your stash for when you need to whip up those baby projects. So 4-ply merino, currently $4.95 a ball, and yeah, we won't be having it at that price again, and I will tell you why actually in a second when we hit our hot topic. Actually, we'll do that now. It's a nice segue, isn't it, really, talking about the prices. The hot topic today I've put in there is price increases, because let's face it, no one wants to have something go up and no one wants to talk about price increases. I may have mentioned before, I think in previous videos, about one of our biggest challenges here at the mill, because we are a manufacturer, so we are buying raw materials in from New Zealand, Australia and further afield. And one of our biggest challenges is raw material supply. We've got some key lines out of stock at the moment because we haven't been able to source raw materials, or source raw materials at a price that is going to be reasonable and feasible to be able to produce yarns that come back. And it's a real double-edged sword for us, because whilst we're really supportive of growers, price increases mean that the people growing a lot of these products are actually getting paid really well for them, which is fabulous. The negative of that, of course, is that it has a knock-on effect for every step down the chain. So one of the things, and I have, done a few posts over the last year or so around this as things come in, and I got this graph which has come in from, and this is a graph that's come in from the Australian Merino Guide. Now, the majority of the merino that we purchase is Australian sourced. A lot of the New Zealand merino, and we do some, but the majority of New Zealand merino is extremely high priced, very high end, and goes into high end suitings. And most of them, a lot of that merino actually doesn't make it to the open market. They have direct deals between spinners or weavers and the individual farms. Or some of those farms actually convert that merino for themselves. We do actually some. Our Silver Lining would be a great example. That's merino that is New Zealand sourced, that we source. But a good chunk of what we source is actually Australian. And let's face it, they are the #1 producers of merino in the world. So we're not going to knock them for that. In fact, we praise them for it, because without them, we wouldn't have these wonderful merino yarns. So this is from there. So we look at the Australian merino price quite keenly. And I'm just going to show you this graph. You see that graph? So the little red cross that's just over here, where is it? There it is. So that little red cross is November of, so this is this, oh, there we go. So this graph, so that red cross is November of last year. So that was when we purchased a lot of merino, was then, fortunately, because see how that has literally got shot right up. So that's to May this year. So that just shows you the increase in price, the merino price from November last year to last month, basically. And it is shot up by nearly, sorry, I'm just having a look. It's by about 25% in the last 6 months. Massive. So the good news for you guys is that we did actually purchase it when the price was relatively stable. And unlike the fuel companies, who the minute the oil price goes up on the barrel in the open market and you immediately have to pay for it at the pump, we don't do that. What we do is we look at the pricing that we've made at the time of the batch that we've done. And the one thing that we have done actually, and you can probably see this when I get back over to here again, oopsie, See, this is mirrored, so I can't see what I'm doing. It's like trying to put on something in the mirror and you don't know what you're doing. So as you can see, you've got that portion there. Those costs, a lot of those costs we've actually absorbed. In that sort of spiky period was when we had our price increase earlier in the year. That we needed to do those recoveries. But what we do, the biggest thing that we try to do is that we try to maintain our price across the batch, and then when the new batch comes through, or the majority of the new batch comes through, we then look at that pricing and make some decisions. So instead of just willy-nilly moving prices around all the time, we will try and maintain hold a price for as long as we possibly can before we move a price forward. So if you ever see us install a price increase on anything, we're not doing it because we think that, oh yes, we need to, let's make some more money out there. What we're actually doing is we're actually doing it to just stay ahead of the game when it comes to improving costs. And it's not just us as well. Any of those yarn retailers that you're seeing out in yarn retail, we manufacture for a good portion of those. They're in exactly the same boat. We have to pass those costs on to them. They have to pass those costs on to the retailers, and in turn the retailers have to pass those costs on to you. So yeah, so next time you're in your local yarn store and you're seeing something that's gone up and you're sort of a bit sort of furrow-browed about it, that's actually at the background behind it. They're not necessarily doing it for kicks. They're actually doing it because they have to. They have to keep things sustainable. So that's just merino. I haven't even got onto possum. Possum's gone up about 30% in the last little bit. Alpaca's running at about 18 to 20%. Mohair, I think, is something like 40% since last year. So there's been some huge price increases. Which then brings me to some bad news, because I am going to have a bit of price increase. And that is on outlaw yarn. So you will see from us a price increase from the 1st of August. We've been holding back. Deb's put her new price increase in earlier in the year. We hold quite a lot of stock here on site that we buy in for retail. So we've been moving through that stock, and we wanted to get Gothic out to you at the old price. But we've got to a point now that we've pretty much rotated all our stock through, the large majority of it, and it is now all coming through at the new pricing from her. So from the 1st of August you will see a price increase across the board from Outlaw. You're looking at sort of $1 on the Bohemia 50 grams, and then through to a couple of dollars on the 100 gram ball. So I mean, it's not the end of the world, but just be aware that that is coming up. So if you were planning a Bohemia or Vanitas or Outlaw project in the next little while, you may want to actually get those yarns purchased in this month before the price goes up. So just so you're aware of that. Now, I'm not going to end this on a down note. I'm going to end it on an up note. And the up note is if you are on our mailing list for Knit August Nights, and many of you are, and Knit August Nights is the event held here in Napier at the end of August, which is the next month. And I'm only nervous because I'm the one that organises it. So half my time is spent doing this, and then I spend a good chunk of time at home doing Knit August Nights. So next month is Knit August Nights. Cannot believe it. So as well as this year's event, I've also been spending a lot of time working ahead on 2019's event. And part of the reason for that is 2019 is the 10-year anniversary of Knit August Nights, which is, I really don't know where 10 years has gone, but it has. And so I've been working on that, and I announced day before yesterday that Can, usually Knit August Night, or Can as we call it, is Can by the Sea. Well, in 2019, Can is going to be Can on the Sea, or Skeins at Sea as well, because Skeins is going to be coming along with us too. And it is, I have been working with a wonderful travel agent, and she puts craft cruises together, and she approached me about taking the Can to sea. So we have found a cruise in November 2019 which departs Melbourne. The actual cruise itself is a round trip component. So if you're one of our Australian listeners and you're wanting to do this cruise, you can actually do it return into Melbourne. The Can at Sea craft portion of the cruise is from Melbourne, and you sail Melbourne down through Fiordland National Park, up round into Dunedin, then up into Akaroa, then to Wellington to Napier. When you get here, you'll get a guided tour of the mill here, and then from here to Tauranga to Auckland. And at that point, there is the option for the Kiwis who are all watching that you can actually book the cruise Melbourne-Auckland. So you don't actually have to do the full Melbourne return. So you have two options there. And then you can actually get off in Auckland. So that saves you an international return. You don't need to. If you wish to do the full return back to Melbourne, by all means do. Both options will be available. But the craft can portion will finish in Auckland. And then the ship returns back to Melbourne. It's with Princess Cruises on Golden Princess, which is a lovely big ship. And yeah, we will be doing that in November. So I think it sails from Melbourne on the 24th of November. So Carly and I, she's pulling together all the pricing options, cabin options, because you'll be able to, there'll be two components. One is the cruise component, the other component is the can component, and we're doing it that way so then if you're wanting to travel with partners or families and have the experience with them as well, you're able to, and they don't, you purchase your can classes and activities and things for yourself, and then they don't need to do that, they can do their own thing. So the whole thing has been designed that you can do as much or as little as you like. But it's combining two loves of mine, which is obviously knitting and craft, and the other is cruising, because I love cruising. I've been a cruise addict now for about 3 or 4 years. Absolutely adore it. If you've never been on a cruise, it is wonderful, and it's a great holiday, and especially as a knitter, it's a fantastic way to holiday and get loads done. So I will, in the comments, and actually possibly in the body of this as well, I will place some links. We've got a newsletter sign up for you to get information. So once all that information comes to hand, we will send you out that information, and then you can check your dates and see whether or not that's something you'd like to do. So that is going to be Can and Skeins at Sea, which will be in November 2019. Don't panic if you were planning to come to regular Knit August nights in 2019. That is still going to go ahead as planned. So that will be the end of August 2019. And I'm again working on tutors and people to come across from that already. So that will still be happening, no worries. But if you haven't been able to make it, or you can't make it at that time of year, you've also got another option to do something as well. So that is, put it in your calendars now, start thinking about it now, because it's something that could be really, really fun, really different. I'm really looking forward to it and excited about it. So we'd love to see you for that. But in the meantime, I've nearly rabbited on for half an hour. Gosh, I talk some rubbish, I really do. I was going to talk about school holidays. I'll just do that really, really quickly. If you are like me and you've got kids at home for school holidays, if you scroll a bit further down the main page feed, I did pop up a really neat video of a quick, easy friendship bracelet you can do using either cardboard, or you can use a paper plate like this. The other thing I want you to look up, people, is I want you to Google paper plate weaving, and then just have a look at the images, or just click, once you've got your search, have a look at images. Paper plate like this, and you basically crisscross out, and then you can do this wonderful weaving through the center, and it's brilliant for using up those little messy, scrappy bit of yarn, and the kids love it. It's, it'll buy you an hour or two off a screen. And they can make coasters out of them, or mobiles. They can do all sorts of things. But it's the sort of activity that I know even my boys would really enjoy. And all you need is either a disc of cardboard or a paper plate. Paper plates are great because it's easy to weave around with this lip. So paper plate weaving. Google that, and hopefully that, will give you 5 minutes, please. in the meantime, have a great weekend. I will talk to you again next week. And don't forget that Merino Flash sale ends at midnight tonight, $4.95. Again, I'll put the link in the comments. But until then, look after yourselves, stay warm, stay dry, and we'll see you then.